And we're live. Right. Hi, guys. I'm Mike.
I'm Ash.
And we're F1 fanatics. And Charles Leclerc has got pole. Again, a bit boring, this, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit repetitive, but we like it.
You certainly wore the right top today.
Yeah, it's almost as if I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, my gamble for Williams to take pole in Russia didn't pay off.
Yeah. Grid penalties for Kubica. That's the reason, wasn't it?
Definitely was that. But yes, guys, in all honesty, Charles Leclerc, another amazing performance. He has just been so consistent, absolutely incredible, getting another pole lap. And that is since the first time since 2001, a Ferrari driver has taken 4 poles in a row, and that was Michael Schumacher. And that is just, incredible. I think they keep on mentioning on Sky Sports that Charles Leclerc was 3 years old when that came through, which adds. But yeah, Charles Leclerc, what a pole. Let's go through it from Q1 to Q2 and then obviously rounding off with Q3. So Ash, do you want to start off with Q1?
Yeah, so Q1, I think the big thing that we need to be talking about is one Daniel Kvyat.
Yeah.
So didn't actually take part in qualifying at all. He's had a torrid weekend to say the least. Obviously,
they wouldn't even let him change his helmet.
No, but I think, the engine penalties that were already in place for the weekend, and then obviously the failures he's had, having to take new engine parts. So he's effectively had 2 engines this weekend. Yeah, not great for him. So didn't take part in qualifying, so will be starting 20th on the grid. And then he is being joined by his former teammate.
It wasn't great by Alexander Albon. So yeah, he'd kind of really struggled all weekend. Even in practice sessions, he'd kind of been off the pace to Max Verstappen. He was struggling there. And yeah, obviously he was going corner. What turn is it?
I never remember the numbers.
I'll get the circuit up here. It is turn 13, where all the drivers were struggling all weekend, and he just lost it. He'd committed to the corner, but he spun out, and then the rear of the car just smashed into the wall, and that was Alex Albon's qualifying over and done with. And I'd be surprised if he wouldn't have to take a replacement gearbox as well.
Well, looking at the damage, there is the possibility of that. I would say it wasn't high speed, really, in comparison to what there could have been in that coming into that term. He did scrub the speed off quite well. So there's the possibility, but I don't think the damage looked that significant. So he may have got lucky with that one. But not really what you want. You've gone into the new team and he hasn't had the luck of it, has he, really?
No. I think, this has probably been the first real weekend we've seen Alexander Albon struggle since getting into that Red Bull seat. And but obviously he is still young. It's still his rookie season in Formula One. He's going to make mistakes, and this might be the weekend where he doesn't necessarily perform well, although could have quite a fun race coming from the back of the grid.
Yeah, definitely could see him making progress through the grid itself. There's definitely 6 or 7 cars that he should be able to get past within the first 5-6 laps, I'd say. When he does start getting nearer to that top 10, he will start to find it that little bit trickier to make up places. But the Red Bull, it has got the power and the downforce there. It's going to be more balanced than the likes of the Haas, the Renault. So he's got chances even when he does get to that top 10.
He certainly does. And moving on to then the next ones, and that is the Williams, as usual, moving into their resident places at the back. But, 18th and 17th, that's kind of a good result for them.
It is. And obviously there was the advantage for them of having one car not actually qualifying and then Albon having the accident. But there was quite a bit there to look forward to from the Williams. It wasn't as if they were miles off of the pace. They did seem closer to the pack. So,
which is all they're trying to do race by race. I what was that? Still I Rise 4485. Hamilton did drive his butt off. I agree with you. Yeah, amazing result for him to split the result. Again, Vettel in that last qualifying run and not going there. But yeah, it's back onto Q1 and Kimi Raikkonen making a mistake. And Giovinazzi is really starting to kind of outperform his teammate, especially in the qualifying aspect, and has been in the race as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, Saturdays have been good for Gio recently. I like the fact that he is now starting to build on that qualifying. So I would say, yes, he was being out-qualified by Raikkonen at the beginning of the season. It was Sunday where the big differences were showing. Now he's matching Kimi, if not beating him in qualifying in terms of average position. And in the race, he is backing it up. So definitely Raikkonen was disappointed with his lap and few bleeps, shall we say, for his team radio once again. But
yeah, Kimi Raikkonen certainly isn't a PC driver. He will literally say what he says. So I presume they probably have the beep button ready and lined up whenever Kimi Raikkonen comes on the radio. But yeah, that rounds off Q1 and then moving into Q2, where 15th position, he's made it again into a Q2. Lance Stroll for the second time in this second part of the season. He's finished P15th, but again, another mistake meant that he wasn't able to kind of kick on and get anything further than that. But it's progress for him because qualifying really is where he struggles as a driver.
Once again, though, Albon and Kvyat not qualifying, not getting representative times do slightly influence that one. But it was a good result for him getting into Q2, starting to build his confidence in the car, and the aero package that came in Singapore, definitely working for the Racing Point and giving them that opportunity to actually progress. So it is good to see them working their way through.
It certainly is. And then obviously, after that, 14th, who came in 14th?
It was...
Oh, there we go. Look, massively prepared on this, 14th.
Yeah. Who was it? Wasn't it K-Mag?
I think you are right, actually. Yeah, it was K-Mag.
K-Mag dropped off the pace in.
He certainly did. He looked good in Q1, but then dropped off.
Oh, look at that. Pulled it out. It was K-Mag.
Kevin Magnussen. And the Haas running that kind of split spec car of the Australia and the kind of hybrid of their new updates actually looked closer to the midfield, didn't it? And
it was one of those where they started off each session of part of qualifying really well, and then it was the second lap where they weren't seeming to take advantage of the track evolution that others were. So there's still refining to be done in the Haas, which we all know is the case, but definitely good progress from them. And if they can sort out Sunday, it's not the worst place to be starting, especially considering Gasly's going to be dropping back.
Exactly, free choice of tyres. So yeah, starting from 13th essentially. Then you have Giovinazzi and talking Alfa Romeo. So that is a whole kind of 3 places above his teammate Kimi Raikkonen, and he's really starting to perform because that Alfa hadn't necessarily looked quick all weekend. It certainly wasn't a track that we were expecting them to do well at, and yeah, so it was kind of a positive performance for Giovinazzi. And like I said, that's promoted up to 12th place with Gasly taking a penalty, who qualified in P11. So yeah, another fantastic drive for Giovinazzi. And I think it is rumoured that it's already been secured. But I think, yeah, if there's any doubt, I think he will be in that Alpha seat next season.
One, there isn't a clear option as to who could take that seat anyway. But we said it during the summer break. He needed to start showing his ability that he hadn't really shown in the first half, and he has now done enough, I would say, to have earned that seat and deserves to be keeping it. So I would expect to see him on the grid next season, no matter what happens for the rest of it.
And then I think moving on to the guy who will probably be most disappointed in Q2, and that is Sergio Perez, because The Racing Point had shown a lot of pace, and obviously Sergio was bigging up the Racing Point all weekend and how it was doing. And yeah, they showed good pace in Q1. He was, I think, best of the rest. He was certainly the quickest going into there. So to not get a lap time that gets him into Q3 must have been a massive disappointment for them. But like we said, he's starting P11 and has that free option of tyres going into the race. So the Racing Point still could have a very good race.
I would say he will actually be very happy with where he is starting because it gives them the option to go for the alternate strategy, which Mercedes are going to be trying. But by being that far back from the start, he's going to be able to assess options going into turn 2. So he's going to know if someone's locked up and whether there's been an incident, but he is also going to get a really nice toe. So I'm going to put it out there now. Expect Sergio Perez to make up places on the first lap.
Okay, that is your one to watch from there. So then rounding off Q2 was just Pierre Gasly. Obviously, spoke about it. All the Honda powered cars were going to take grid penalties this week. Daniel Kvyat, we touched on having a terrible weekend in terms of taking a back penalty and getting that there. But Pierre Gasly, he was taking the 5 grid penalty with the replacement of his internal combustion engine part. And 11th, disappointed. He could have. He made a slight mistake going on there because if he could qualify high, that kind of is damage limitation. But he will be starting P16 and he does have that option tyres. And the Toro Rosso in the hands of Pierre Gasly does actually look a very quick car. So I'd still reckon that he's in with a shout of getting a points finish.
Maybe the lower end of the points, nothing too major, I would say, on that one. He will be disappointed, though. The car did look as if it had that potential of getting into Q3. So I think he will be disappointed with his lap. It wasn't his best, shall we say. It was a little bit scruffy.
No. And then, guys, moving into Q3, and then the Renaults, I think we both are predicted to do quite well here, haven't necessarily qualified too well. So, Danny Rick getting 10th position and out-qualified by his teammate. Probably won't be too happy on that one.
No, but he will be thinking, not got to deal with Hulkenberg next season. So,
and we've seen that Daniel Ricciardo is a lot better in the race than Nico Hulkenberg as well. So I'd expect him to still have a strong performance within the race. And then, big surprise, he put in an absolute fantastic lap in Q2. Roman Grosjean getting 9th position and proving that he's the enigma of Formula One in terms of when he gets it right, he is a very quick driver. And well, it was a shame he couldn't replicate the lap he did in Q2 in Q3. But yeah, to get 9th position, and obviously with Verstappen's grid penalty, he actually moves up to 8th as well. So that is a very strong position for Haas. But we all know with Haas,
Sunday will not be great for them. They always seem to drop back.
Sorry, I've just seen Stephen come here. Stephen, he does the F1 Fantasy Weekly with us. Roman is the best driver on the grid. I think there's a little tongue-in-cheek in that comment. But yes, they don't do well on a Saturday, and Sundays where they all go wrong.
I think expect Roman Grosjean to be dropping back at quite a rate of knots.
Well, that's harsh. He could still get a points finish.
I don't see it.
All right, there you go. Ashley's called it. No points finish for Roman Grosjean.
He's going to swap places with Sergio Perez.
This is as good as it's going to get for Roman Grosjean. And then the young Brit, the rookie of the season so far, Lando Norris, with another strong qualifying performance in 8th position. Another Q3 for him.
Yeah, did really well. Got into the 133s like everyone in Q10. In the top 10 shootout. I've mixed things together there.
Oh, it's numbers again, Ash. It's numbers again.
It's not great. But performed really well, and he has tidied up his Sunday performances, which is Saturday performances, which is something that I wanted to see a lot more of, get that consistency, and it's building his confidence with the races. So another one where potential of moving forward, but likely to be staying around where he is, but will be a good weekend for him if it stays that way.
Next one up was Nico Hulkenberg, and I think for him now, it is just showing the best he can do, and if he can out-qualify his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, then that is a positive for him, and it was a strong last qualifying performance. I believe actually he was ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, so yeah, Daniel Ricciardo knew the time to beat, but couldn't actually find the time to beat his German teammate. So I think pretty good drive from there, and we'll start P6 tomorrow in the race.
It is one of those. Expect great performances from Hulkenberg now till the end of the season, because he is driving for a seat. It doesn't matter what category of racing he goes into next season, he will still be driving for that seat. So expect him to be performing, and there's not going to be any love lost. So he will want to beat Ricciardo as much as possible.
And then we move on to Carlos Sainz, who qualified P6, but will start P5 in the race. And is this going to be the race where his bad luck runs out? Because it is another strong qualifier. Well, your criticism over him over the summer was he needed to improve his qualifying, and he's out-qualified Lando Norris there. Yeah. And if he does have no technical issues, no problems in the pit stops, I can't see anything other than Carlos Sainz finishing best of the rest tomorrow.
Grosjean's near him.
No, Grosjean's not going to be involved in any crash this week. He crashed with Russell last week. He's learned his lesson.
Hopefully he has, and hopefully Carlos Sainz can get a good result. It's definitely deserved. He's been trying his best since coming back from the summer break, and it just has not worked out for him through no fault of his own, really. So a good finish for him. Maybe being able to finish ahead of Verstappen. I think that would be his aim in terms of where he could finish. I don't think he's going to get near to a Mercedes. Let's be honest, Bottas.
No. And then that moves us on nicely to Bottas. And I think out of the top drivers, he is going to be the most disappointed today at a track where he usually outperforms Lewis Hamilton, and it is his best track on the circuit. Yeah, thank you, Katie. Nice for us to finally get a qualifying reaction together as well. But
we have been trying.
We have. I just kind of keep mucking it up, I think. But yeah, Valtteri Bottas won't be happy with that performance today.
No, especially when you look at Hamilton's lap. We'll go on to that a little bit more when it comes to comparing, obviously, Mercedes drivers and Ferrari drivers, because I'm sure Vettel's going to feel the same way that Bottas is feeling. But when you see Hamilton's lap, there's the potential of that Mercedes. So he was quite a bit off, really, wasn't he? What was the actual split? 6/10. Well, 6/10 exactly. So,
which I think is massive in terms of that, especially on a track that you'd expect him to do well on.
Yeah, and especially when there's not many corners where you can make up time. So it is one of those where car performance is actually the decider as to what's happening with regards to finishing. So he will be disappointed with that. And yes, Hamilton's lap was immense, but you would have expected Bottas to have been at least a few tenths closer to him on that.
And then you have Verstappen, and for him it was kind of damage limitation today, because obviously he does have that 5 grid place penalty with the part replacement to the engine, and I think he's got to be pretty happy about it, because Red Bull again, they just don't look like competing with the Mercedes and Ferrari. Mercedes and Ferrari have just kind of jumped on ahead of things.
I would say Red Bull will be incredibly pleased with that, because he's one place ahead of where they would have been expecting him to be qualifying, because it would have been expected that it would be 1, 2, 3, 4 being the 2 Ferraris and the 2 Mercs. So for him to have got full, he's got one place higher than was expected.
And he's got to hope that he has a good first lap as well to kind of clear up as much as that traffic in front of him, to see if he can actually push and gain a position on Bottas during the race.
I'm expecting quite a dive into turn 2.
Or maybe the hold back and try and get the toe and go round on the bend on the
He
outside.
tried that in Monza and it didn't work.
Yeah, no.
So he's going to change it up this time. He's tried it one way, didn't work.
Got to try it the other way
Go
now,
the other
obviously.
way now. See if it can get something.
And then you have Sebastian Vettel in 3. So we're now on to the top 3, the podium positions. Will they remain that on race day? It'll be yet to see. Vettel probably going to be disappointed. Another mistake on that kind of last lap out. And he'll be disappointed to not be on the front row with Charles Leclerc.
It was a scruffy qualifying in general from Vettel. Q1, a couple of things were out of his control, but had to have 3 attempts, I think it was in the end, to be able to set a lap time. Always seemed as if there was an incident or mistake going to happen with a lap. He never seemed to be on rails like Leclerc was. So he, as I said with Bottas, the gap to Leclerc was 4 tenths in the same car, and it is a car that is a lot faster at this moment in time than the Mercedes. And yes, that is me now deciding that I do think the Ferrari pace is genuine. It's not been through strategy or
Ash believes the hype, everyone. Ash finally believes the Ferrari hype in the end of the season.
The hype is real. The Ferrari have got there with their aero package, and
I'm just as surprised as you, Katie, that he believes the Ferrari hype.
No, I was watching whose video was it? I think it might have been the Autosport video on the Ferrari aero update.
Yeah, they would have been Autosport.
And they've actually made really big steps, and it's not just been small changes. They have gone in with quite a change. So they've rectified the issue that they were having in regards to the instability, because the car does look very balanced and there doesn't seem to be as much wrestling with the car as there was in the first half of the season. So, yes.
Might also be in line with Simon de Resta's return to the team in terms of coming in to improve the aero package. And obviously, he's only mainly been part of that car development since the second half of the season, which Ferrari have won all the races since. Maybe it may be too much to say it's all him. They've been obviously making plans anyway. I think it was since Canada, they've been kind of coming with these upgrades, but he certainly may have helped the situation.
Yeah, and the first change to the front wing was in France, where they had an idea of how they were wanting to go with their aero package. They just couldn't refine it.
Yeah.
And that's what Formula One is. Tweaks and refinements and finding what works.
And then I'm going to say something slightly controversial here because of how good Charles Leclerc has been in qualifying. I think Lewis Hamilton getting second is the lap of qualifying in Q3, because to split those Ferraris who do have a dominant advantage is a massive thing for Lewis Hamilton. And it puts him in a position where he's closer to Charles Leclerc. If they can get ahead of the Ferraris early doors, obviously they're going to be starting on that medium tyre compound because they qualified on that in Q2. It's going to be really interesting to see how race strategy plays out tomorrow. But yeah, it was a fantastic lap by Lewis Hamilton to kind of split the two Ferraris.
And look at this, we are doing another video where we disagree on something.
Ooh.
It was the best lap in qualifying. The issue I think that he's got now is he's P2. It's that run down into turn 2. He is now going to be given the slipstream to definitely Bottas, who's going to be behind him. And we're going to have the potential where Sebastian Vettel can either go for the toe from Leclerc or Hamilton. And with Hamilton being on the harder compound, I've got a feeling that he's going to get the jump on him.
Okay.
And I think the best, yes, the lap time was good, and it was fantastic to split the Ferraris, because of being on that harder compound for them, I think the better result would have been having Hamilton in P3 on the grid, knowing that he can then get the toe off of both Ferraris and almost slingshot into turn 2.
All right, fair enough in terms of that. And then we get on to our pole sitter. Again, 4 times. We mentioned it at the start of this kind of stream. Charles Leclerc, he is just proving incredible on the Saturday. And after Lewis is gone, he could prove the guy that goes on and dominates Saturday as the best qualifiers, because it is difficult to compare Max Verstappen because of that Red Bull car and how it has been off Mercedes and Ferrari in these past few years. But yeah, Leclerc, that's now 6 pole positions this year. He's beating Lewis Hamilton in terms of pole positions, which I think is an incredible feat to do in only your 2nd season in Formula One and a Ferrari. But Ferrari do tend to kind of set up better on the Saturday to go there. And now that they've got into those tracks that are suiting, and now they've sorted the aero package and they've got an all-round great car, it was just an incredible lap.
It was, and he dominated qualifying as a whole. It wasn't just pulling out that lap in Q3, which I would say is something that has been part of Hamilton's career, not necessarily being on the pace right through qualifying, but then pulling out a fantastic lap. Leclerc, he doesn't care about any of that. He just wants to drive as fast as possible, and it is showing. And once again, out-qualified Vettel. So what's that now? 9 races?
Yeah, it must be 9 in a row.
9 races that he's now out-qualified Vettel, which, once again, disappointment for him on that level. But Leclerc built himself up into the team and has taken that number 1 seat.
I'm not sure if it's number 1 seat, but it's certainly equal status on that role. From there, I think you can see from, if he was number 1, then Vettel would have had to have given the position. Singapore last week, I think they are equal status and allowed to race, but Vettel certainly was a clear number 1 at the start of the season, and he's certainly not a clear number 1 now. But yeah, guys, that kind of pretty much rounds up qualifying and our thoughts on qualifying there. With the both of us, we could go a little bit more in depth in there. Now, the chat does seem to be working in a video for once. I don't know if I've done anything different to figure that out, but we'll have it. There are 3-4 of you in the viewing now. So if you want any questions to ask us in terms of relation to qualifying, any of your reactions, we are happy to do it there. We'll leave it for a bit. And then if you don't, then I guess we'll end it there.
Let us know what your thoughts were. Do you think I'm right in the fact that 3rd would have been the better starting place for one of the Mercedes? That would be quite good to hear.
How could you think? I know obviously we had Still I Rise thought that Hamilton drove his butt off to split the Ferraris, which I thought was amazing, and reacting to a bit of the news of McLaren securing Mercedes engine deal. They should have stayed in the first time. I mean, now that they've gone back, maybe you're right there. Question from Katie. Do you think K-Mag can get into the points tomorrow? Yes, I do. I'm not sure Ash agrees with me.
I'm not as confident, no.
But I think the Haas has shown a little bit of promise this weekend. But again, like we said, on a Saturday, they never struggle. They've been able to get performance out of the car and get into Q3 at times. It's just their race pace just goes off an absolute cliff in terms of getting performance out of those tyres. But he was competing in Singapore, so I don't see why he can't compete for the points tomorrow.
I would say he will make up places from where he is on the grid, because I don't think that is representative of the pace of the Haas in a one lap pace. I just don't think that a points finish is quite Haas's level at the moment.
And
I've already answered that with my response when we were talking about Roman anyway. He's going to drop like a stone. And no.
Stephen, my brother and fellow host of the F1 Fantasy Weekly, has just asked the amazing question of, do you think Roman can get on the podium? Yeah, Rogro. He's going to get a podium. There's going to be an absolute pile up of cars going in to that first corner. Roman Grosjean, he's just going to put in the performance, race of his life. And he's going to make it 11 career podiums. Surely surely that's the only thing that can happen tomorrow, Ash, isn't it?
If there's an accident going into turn two, I'd put my money on either Kvyat or Roman Grosjean causing it. So no.
Oh, they're safe bets. Go on, be a bit out there.
No.
Say Lance Stroll or something.
No, Lance Stroll, he'll perform well tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, well, he always performs well on a race day. Right. Okay. So there were 2 questions there. Any other questions open up to the field?
We haven't even mentioned. We've done the same thing, Sky. We haven't really discussed Mercedes and alternate strategy. We've mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
You mentioned it once. And then...
All right. Okay. So Mercedes starting on a medium compound. The Ferrari have the pace advantage, and they had the race pace advantage in the practice sessions. So Mercedes had to do something, and clearly they're going to try and go long on that medium compound and try and be in the soft compounds later on in the race, where Ferraris I expect to probably be on the hard compound. So yeah, they had to do something. Whether it'll work or not, we'll wait to find out. But
the one thing I'd say is tyre wear shouldn't be an issue. It's not a track where tyre wear is extreme. The issue is the warming up of the tyres, and Mercedes have always been good at getting it into that window. So it may work in their favour by being on that slightly harder compound and having that opportunity. But yeah, it will then give them the opportunity to drop onto the softer compound on lighter fuel. And if there is tyre wear appearing, then...
Yeah, there certainly isn't the track where tyre wear does play into things much.
Well, Sebastian Vettel doesn't seem to keep his tyres as well as Charles Leclerc. So...
Is the championship race still on if Charles wins with Ferrari on the rise? No. But if Lewis Hamilton DNFs tomorrow, then maybe. But Mercedes are going to have a catastrophic end to the season to be any chance of being a title race. But Charles Leclerc probably is the one who would be anywhere near, because obviously Valtteri, as seen with team orders last week in Singapore, is not going to be given that chance.
I'd say the championship race is still on, just not for who's going to win the championship. It's for the places behind him. So Charles Leclerc is definitely in a battle with Verstappen, Vettel and Bottas for who's going to come second and third in the championship. But for who's going to be world champion this season, I just don't see reliability issues for Mercedes. And I think that's what's going to be needed to actually give someone that opportunity to bridge that gap.
Well, Haas have a link with Ferrari, don't they?
Roman Grosjean taking him out.
Roman Grosjean being hired by Ferrari to take out Lewis Hamilton. Agent Grosjean. No, we're not condoning that. He's already had one race ban once in his life. I don't think he's going to do that again.
I don't think he will.
No, I don't think he'll get the opportunity to, but yes. Yeah, right. Okay, that was last question there. Any more questions from the chat?
We'll answer questions about anything. It's
maybe anything F1 related. Let's not go too far. No.
Sorry, I've got to be more precise.
Yeah, we've got to be F1. Well, you already know in the Beyond the Grandstand bingo that you need to be more precise.
Okay. Yes.
Right. Okay. That kind of looks. We've had a chat. That looks like that's it from the question front, guys. So thanks for joining us on this live stream. If you are not watching this live, I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. Get involved in the comments below. We always interact with our people in the comments and give us our thoughts on qualifying. What are your thoughts ahead of the race? Who do you think will win the race? And go from there. Who do you think will finish best of the rest? Those sort of usual questions. An update for us. We won't come with a race reaction tomorrow because we are at Silverstone. For those of you who didn't watch the race preview, we're watching the British touring cars tomorrow, which we'll do a vlog kind of video that will come out on Thursday. So our next kind of coverage will be Monday, where I come out with the driver ratings, and then Tuesday, as usual, we will have me and Ash will sit down and have our race review. But guys, thank you for watching, and as always, UF1 fans, keep racing.